Om Mama Sakra Sova Yarandu Sarvandu Randara Randarandu Mamandu Besova Om Mama Sakra Sova Yarandu Sarvandu Randarandu Mamandu Besova Om Mama Sakra Sova Yarandu Sarvandu Randarandu Mamandu Besova Om Mama Sakra Sova Yarandu Sarvandu Randarandu Mamandu Besova Om Mama Sakra Sova Yarandu Sarvandu Randarandu Mamandu Besova Om Mama Sakra Sova Yarandu Sarvandu Randarandu Mamandu.
Good morning, everyone. So we are going to resume our daily weekday practice and study. So basically, two parts to our daily program. First part is a short practice, and then followed by a study section to this. So some of you may or may not have the practice text that we use. So if somebody can share in this chat here as one way to get these texts. So it will be the daily brief opening and dedication prayer text. And then for today is the Achi cleansing offering called Abundantly Bestowing All That Is Desired. So these are the two texts. Also, if you want to stay informed and connected to the things that I do, there is a WhatsApp group called Dr. Lai's Programs. I don't know if somebody here who knows how to give people that information, please also put it on the chat on how they can join that. There might be an invitation link or something like that to join that, Dr. Lai's Programs. This is a list separate from the list that we use for people who participate on a regular basis of the Wednesday night Drikung Dhammakirti Sangha. Drikung Dhammakirti Sangha is a group of practitioners that make a commitment together every Wednesday night. Well, in the case of Asia, it will be Thursday morning, but makes a commitment and able to meet the commitment of meeting regularly on this Wednesday night. That's the Drikung Dhammakirti Sangha. And so there is a WhatsApp group for that. We're trying to kind of clear things up a little bit, and so that we keep that particular WhatsApp group specific to people who are committed to that Wednesday night. And then, of course, the larger program, so to say, of what I do. As some of you know, this time when His Holiness came to Asheville, he has in particular given us a task overall in terms of focus for our practice. He has given us the responsibility of keeping one particular practice alive among us, which is called the profound path for accomplishing the Guru. So Drikung Dhammakirti, in terms of a specific set of practices, I will be teaching more and more that particular set of practices. So this other WhatsApp group, Dr. Lai's programs, will let you know what's going on, but will not overload you with things that are not particularly relevant to you. So if you want to just stay informed, stay connected, to know this and that I'm doing, please sign up for the Dr. Lai's programs. I believe Omar has just provided that link in the chat. So anyway, let us now begin with the opening recitation. Om other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind until death. I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind from now until this time tomorrow. I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings Limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. Lord Vajradhara Dilipa Naropa Marpa Milarepa Gampopa Pamodrupa Jikten Sumgon, Venerable Root Guru, possessing the three kindnesses, root and lineage gurus, idams, dharma palas, pray, please bestow blessings on mind stream. Unequal refuge, ornament of the world, whose renown pervades 3,000 worlds, the undisputed conqueror Vajradhara, I pay homage to you, the Father Jikten Sumgon. You alone are continually on my mind, compassionate one, please grant your blessings, dispel the darkness of my mind. Please bless me to realize the mind free from elaborations. On the northwest border of the land of Udiyana, in the heart of a lotus flower, endowed with the most marvelous attainments, you are renowned as lotus born, surrounded by many hosts of Dakinis following in your footsteps. I pray to you, come inspire me with your blessings, Guru Padma Siddhi Hung. In the Dharma Dhatu Palace of Akarnishta is the essence of the Buddhas of the three times, who directly reveals my mind as Dharmakaya, O Root Guru. At your feet I supplicate. And now, please turn to the Achi cleansing offering text. I am Vajra Yogini, instantaneously above my head as protector of three worlds, Rana Shri, abiding naturally as a Nirmanakaya. From the palm seed syllable in my heart emanate Ram Yam Kam that purify all the impurities and stains of the offering substances. Then the syllables Om Ahung emanate, which transform the immaculate essence of the offering substances into the nature of the elixir of primordial wisdom, turning then into substances that are agreeable to each of the types, entirely filling the limitless 3,000-fold universe. Om Ha Hum, Om Ha Hum, Om Ha Hum, Namah Sarva tathagate bhayo bisha muke vyasarvata kang ungate saparana hemanga gana kang soham. Nama sarva tathagate bhayo bisha muke vyasarvata kang ungate saparana hemanga gana kang soham. Nama sarva tathagate bhayo bishamuke vyasarva takang ungate saparana hemanga gana kang soha. From the innate nature that is spontaneously present since the beginning, I invite and request the protectors of the teachings to come to this birthless, perfectly luminous secret mandala, your dakinis who magically appear from the activity of primordial wisdom, supreme guardians who abide by the command and oath, manifest magical forms from the Dharma Dhatu, worldly and primordial wisdom, emanations and retinue with your hearts of Maya's roused, please come from the expanse of the excellent airs or space, ablaze with turquoise light, specifically from the azure crag of Mule Aturdum, great elder sister Achi Hangsa. Please come here to tame the and obstruct these magical apparitions of elusive forms emerging from the sphere of primordial wisdom. Other deities, exalted activities, wisdom, samaya, and magnetizing, guardians of the conqueror's teachings, each according to their own time. Retinues of pacification, enrichment, magnetization, and destruction, cries of longing yogins, calling out like a dragon's roar with welcoming substances, silk ribbons, and hands beckoning. I bring forth offering clouds of cleansing smoke and ocean of elixir due to your samayas. Come here to this place of unsolid samaya samhaja ja hum ham ho ala la ho ehi he bhagavan akarsaya samaya ja. Goddess Lady of Space, along with your entire retinue, please be seated happily, each according to your like. I bring forth oceans of offering clouds, both physical and visualized. With devotion I praise and pay homage with body, speech, and mind. Here now at this place and in this supreme year, at this excellent juncture when the planets and stars and favorable positions with the aspiration prayers of all majestic for destroying Buddhas, for the exhaustion of the generative factors, may I achieve in its entirety the true meaning of this life. As I make this cleansing offering to you, deities, now let go demons, mishaps, and obstructors disperse to their own abodes. Cleanse and purify your obscurations and impurities. Give with various supreme medicines that clear the afflictive emotions, fine silks, jewels, incense, aloes wood, sandalwood, cedar wood, fragrant fir, juniper, dwarf, rhododendron, birch, and so on. All these types of fragrant and ambrosia woods, flour, butter, milk, and various types of food and drink, we make these all clouds of pervading smoke of this cleansing offering for you, glorious root and lineage gurus. For you, Idam Vajra Yogini, along with retinue, we cleanse for you, protectress of the teachings, chief lady of space, Choki Droma. For you, exalted activities, Dakini, wisdom Dakini, Samaya Dakini, and magnetizing Dakini. And for you, the three goddesses who devour, slay, and snatch away, we chant heart-shaking mother, and raise her to the life force, wrathful red mother of exalted activities, along with retinue, along with all your assemblies of thousands of dark red flesh eaters, for all you matrikas and Dakinis without exception, we cleanse for you, the powerful Lady Tashi sitting of the supreme crystal tresses of the Himalaya. For you, the goddesses of the four families, the five sister consort and retinue, and you 12 Dharmas along with your retinue, we cleanse that the Gove gods and the multitude of family guardians, the guardians of the precious teachings of the Gaju and oceans of sworn guardians, protectors, this Samaya keeping yogins, we offer this cleansing as this touches the deities and us, the evil of defilements from Samaya breaches, defilements from violations of vows, quarrels, filth, and demons, those coming from contact with corpses, rape, incest, infidelity, and fouling of hearts. All these foul defects are cleansed and with us become pure. In this way, with this profound ritual of bathing and cleansing smoke, the guardian deities are pleased, violations and breaches are mended, all obstructive and discordant conditions are quelled, and all our wishes that accord with the Dharma are abundantly accomplished. Care now with lofty praises to the guardian deities. Glory to Tsokchö Dharma with these outer, inner, and secret support substances. Glory to Tsokchö Dharma with these various desirable offering clouds. Glory to Tsokchö Dharma with music of devotional songs of praise. Glory to Tsokchö Dharma with mantras, mudras, and samadhi. Glory to Tsokchö Dharma, superior to the pinnacle of cyclic existence. Glory to Tsokchö Dharma, brighter than the sun and moon. Glory to Tsokchö Dharma, good as wish-fulfilling jewels. Glory to Tsokchö Dharma, full like a summer lake. Glory to Tsokchö Dharma, to spread the never-waning teachings of Buddhas. Glory to Tsokchö Dharma, to guard and fulfill the ultimate accomplishment of disciples. Glory to Tsokchö Dharma, may the guardians and humans not be separated. All the excellent glories, wealth, power, and blessings of the animate and inanimate, of the environment and inhabitants in samsara and nirvana, I now bring together these enriching presences, prosperous fortune filling like a lake. By the great might of all you guardians, guard the jewel of the essence teachings, increase, develop, and stabilize the holders of the teachings for us who are unerring, and our retinue, increase auspiciousness and resources in our abodes, And when we are away, repel all bandits and hostile forces, dispel darkness, dispel harmful gossips and laws now and in the time to come. Spontaneously bring about all these benefits. Om Bhadra Sato Samaya Madhupalaya Bhadra Sato Teno Mahasamaya Sadho. This is Sanjay Guru Rinpoche. Ngodu Kunda de Wachin Basham Pache, Gusa de Dambosa, so what that's what they do of this or China, Sabalungi do President. So what the social jail of the social on some party issue went on somebody on the virgin jail of the social and the watching pension. But you can say the troubles are so what the social jail of the social on some party issue went on some balloon group virgin jail of the Sanjay Guru and Budget. Ngadukunda de watching pension, but you can say the troubles are so what the social jail of the social on some party issue went on some balloon group virgin jail of the Sanjay Guru and Budget. Ngadukunda de watching pension, but you can say the troubles are so what the social jail of the social on some party issue went on some balloon group virgin jail. What I was reciting is on page 9 of the opening recitations, which is the supplication to Guru Rinpoche for removing obstacles and fulfilling wishes. So now in English, Guru Rinpoche, Buddha of the 3 times great bliss, source of all siddhis, wrathful subduer of maras, who removes all obstacles. Grant your blessings, we pray, through them may all obstacles, outer, inner, and secret, be quelled, and may all our aspirations be fulfilled. Sublime, precious, venerable, and glorious root and lineage gurus, assembly of Idam deities, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas dwelling in the 10 directions, and all assemblies of Viras, Viranis, Yoginis, and Dakinis, please heed me. May the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and the inherent root of virtue not result in the 8 worldly dharmas, the 4 causes of samsara, and the resultant states of hearers and solitary realizers. And may all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, particularly those enemies who hate us, subtractors who harm those who create obstacles, maras who mislead, and their mara retinues, have happiness, be separated from suffering, and quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, and precious Bodhi by the power of this vast root of virtue. May we benefit sentient beings with body, speech, and mind. May the afflictive thoughts of attachment, aversion, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind stream. May thoughts of name, fame, gain, respect, and so forth in this life not arise for even a moment with my mind stream, moistened by love, compassion, and bodhicitta. May I come under the care of virtuous spiritual friends, and having become as limitless as space, may I achieve the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. by the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. So, for the study part of this daily group, the last time we met, we started a series on the life and liberation stories of the Golden Rosary lineage, referring to the Kagyu lineage holders. I think we'll take a pause from that. In fact, we're in the process of finishing that book and having it published, actually. So maybe when it's published, we can return to it. Instead, I think now perhaps it's a good time to turn to this book called The Great Drikung Teachings to the Assembly. So the Great Drikung Teachings to the Assembly. Let's see. Oh, coming in and out of focus. The Great Drikung Teachings to the Assembly. Some of us started this book in the context of attending a retreat. We spent about a little less than a week, right when people were able to travel from the pandemic, impose quarantines and all of that. A group of us bravely, foolishly, hop on the plane and went to Costa Rica. And I think at that point we were all so excited, to be able to go. We just, didn't think anything. Thankfully, gratefully, everyone was fine. And we went to Costa Rica, and I think we had a good retreat there. Then I thought that we will be able to do this retreat in the next 5 years, every year meeting, to finish the whole book. So we covered like 6 of the 30 teachings that are in this book. But the second of these retreats, which we actually planned and got close to doing it was supposed to be in Peru. And then there was political unrest in Peru. Then that went away. And yada, yada, yada. Not sure when we'll be able to gather to do that in that format. So then I thought, maybe better, to continue or to start with the daily study to go over this book. So there's a group of translators under the guidance of Khenchen Nima Gyaltsen in Germany that has been diligently working on translating Jikten Sumgon, especially, not exclusive limited to, but especially the teachings of Jikten Sumgon, translating those teachings into English and German, in some cases also Russian, and I think also starting to do in Spanish. There's one person in Chile who is also involved in that project. So one of the results of that group is the publishing of this book called The Great Drikung Teachings to the Assembly. So Teachings to the Assembly, Tsokchö in Tibetan, is a particular genre of collected teachings, a particular genre of collected teachings, particularly found among the disciples of Gampopa, the spiritual descendants of Gampopa in the early Kagyu formative period. The title suggests that what these teachings are is that they are teachings given to an assembly of disciples. So you say, so then what is this in contrast to? It is in contrast to the many, many, many other teachings that are given extemporaneously to one disciple or a handful of disciples, or brief notes and letters that a lama, a guru, might send to a disciple in response to questions that they have. So, for example, in the 12-volume collection of Jikten Sumgon's teachings, most of them are of that nature. A disciple sends a letter with questions, then Kyopa Rinpoche might dictate and someone writes it down and sends it back. Or Kyopa Rinpoche might write a response and send it back. Or during consultation hours, so to say, certain disciples might come and ask questions. Then his attendant, usually it was Sherab Jungne, then his attendants might listen and then quickly jot down, and then it gets collected, later on and published as the teachings of the Lama. So majority of the teachings are of this type. But then within this collection of teachings, there is then one genre called Teachings to the Assembly, Tsokchö. So from that, I think what we can gather is, whereas those teachings given to individual disciples, to a handful of disciples, teachings given in response to questions presented, those teachings, I think when we read them, we need to be a little more aware of the context in which they were given. Meaning that perhaps this instruction is specific to this disciple. Right? Not that we can't draw lessons from that particular teaching. But when we draw lessons from that teaching, we should be at least a little bit aware that this could be something specific to what that student needed to hear and what that student needed to hear. Whereas, in contrast, teachings to the assembly, you could say, Kyopa Rinpoche was quite aware that he is addressing 100 disciples or 200 or 10,000. And because he was teaching to the assembly, then what he said generally applicable to everyone. So in that sense, this genre of teachings to the assembly have a wider coverage, as we would say. So I think that's, something that we should keep in mind. In this particular collection, so in the introduction in this book, which Khenchen Nima Gyaltsen wrote this. He says that what we have, what we currently have in the collection of Gyalpa Rinpoche's teachings are basically, we have 10 titles that have the name Teachings to the Assembly. Ten titles. In which this one is a particular, this is called the Great Teaching to the Assembly, or the Wish-Fulfilling Jewel, well-formulated sections of the Teachings to the Assembly. So in this particular collection, there are 30 teachings. So I believe that these 30 teachings were given over a period of a month. Every day it was given. And you could see from teaching to teaching references to the later teaching saying, like a few days ago I said this. And so there's internal evidence that these 30 teachings were probably given over a period of a month. And so there's this kind of continuity. But it's also obvious that these 30 teachings weren't like planned out, It's not like lesson plan. A teacher would write out all the notes, and it's also quite clear that these were given from the heart, extemporaneously. So don't expect the 30 teachings to be like some of the other Tibetan teachings that you are familiar with, where it's a treatise that was like written out and follows a particular logic, flows in a particular way. Not in this set of 30 teachings. In this set of 30 teachings, I think each day, Gyalpa Rinpoche would ascend the teaching throne and look out into the audience, and he starts teaching. So some of the teachings are short, some of the teachings are longer. So overall. So anyway, this collection was put together not by Sherab Jungne, who is usually the disciple who collected. Normally, most of the teachings seem to have been collected by Sherab Jungne. In this case, this was something that was collected, put together by Drakpa Jungne. So Sherab Jungne and Drakpa Jungne were considered in their lifetimes to be kind of, you could say, the sun and moon disciples of Gyalpa Rinpoche. And there was a number of other very important disciples, such as there is like these, I forgot what they're called, but there are these 3 disciples in which the original kind of Lama that now we have Gachen Rinpoche. So there was a Gar who was a student of Gyalpa Rinpoche. He was one of them. Then Nyo Gyalwa Lanangpa was another one of them. He was the one who then started some monasteries in Bhutan. And then there's another figure called Druptup Sengye Yeshe, who kind of focused his teaching activity in western Tibet, on the borders of what's now Tibet and Nepal, in the Dopo region, to some degree the Limi region in western Tibet. So here, Drakpa Jungne was the one who gathered this collection. Drakpa Jungne was also the disciple that Jikten Sumgon sent to Jikten Sumgon's teacher's monastery, Pakdu Densatil, to restore Pakdu Densatil. Jikten Sumgon's own teacher's monastery greatly declined after Pamadrupa passed away. Initially, some disciples asked Jikten Sumgon to help that community, but he wasn't able to, and so he left. And especially after he left, that monastery really declined. Then later in life, when Jikten Sumgon became a great Lama, then again, his fellow disciples and people in the Pakdu and Satil area came to Jikten Sumgon and pleaded with him and say, please, you have to restore your teacher's monastery. And so then he sent Drakpa Jungne. Drakpa Jungne very successfully rebuilt that monastery and made it one of the most active and wealthy monasteries also in their time. Then later, he came back to Drikung and anchored the throne of Drikung. I think he's the fourth successor after Jikten Sumgon. The immediate successor to the throne of Jikten Sumgon was Kenjen Sutum Dorje, I think, who Trisap Rinpoche is the reincarnation of that Lama. Gurawa, he was a Gura family, Gurawa Sutum Dorje. And then one of Jikten Sumgon's nephew, I think Onchen Sonam Drakpa, succeeded this Kenjen. And then the next one was, I believe, if I remember correctly, was Drakpa Jungne. And Drakpa Jungne was not just a great Lama, he appeared to have been also a very able statesman. When he ascended the throne, he also sort of effectively became the political head of that area. And when the Mongols were coming and threatening Drikung area, he was able to hold them back. He was able to get their respect, and so the Mongols left Drikung alone and then burn it to the ground. Later in 1290, the Mongols did come and burn Drikung to the ground. For a few hundred years, starting around 1200s, when the Mongols were active all over Asia, conquered China and then went all the way to Europe. For those few hundred years, the Mongols were greatly feared all across Asia, and including in Tibet. They were very busy marching up and down, left and right, all over Tibet. And then the Tibetans aligned themselves, different groups aligned themselves with different Mongols. And so that added to the complication of the Mongol activity, so to say, in Tibet. So anyway, this is compiled by Drakpa Jungne. So here I'm reading from the book now. This is the introduction to this collection on page 22. It opens with an opening praise to Kyopa Jikten Sumgon. Now this praise then is written by Drakpa Jungne. So he says here, his inconceivable body mandala is beautiful, like a mountain of jewels, and has the major and minor marks from the perfection of the two accumulations. It manifests in accordance with the dispositions of beings that are as limitless as space. And so praising Jikten Sumgon's exalted form, body, Drakpa Jungne basically says he has the form of a Buddha, because he says he has the major and minor marks, the 32 major marks and the 80 minor marks. So of course, in the context of writing praises to one's guru, it is fashionable. To some degree, you could say it is acceptable to kind of perceive your guru or even in Vajrayana, you are encouraged to perceive your guru as a perfect Buddha. And then so from there, you write and saying that your guru has the form of a perfect Buddha, 32 major marks, 80 minor marks, right? It's not so controversial. This is part of the method of guru devotion. But in this case, we also know many of Gyalpa Rinpoche's disciples, not just like practice perceiving their guru as Buddha, they actually believed and saw their guru as Buddha. And so we have statues of Jikten Sumgon made during this early period, whereby, for example, one of the signs, one of the major marks of a Buddha is that on the palms of their hands and on the soles of their feet, there is Dharma chakra, somehow birthmarks that look like the Dharma chakra. So it's said that Siddhartha had those birthmarks. But we have evidence of statues made of Jikten Sumgon during his lifetime where the Dharma chakra is inscribed in his palms and on the soles of his feet. I don't think we have evidence of other people doing this. So it shows us, how strongly his disciples felt about him being an actual Buddha. Now, probably controversial, but we don't need to get into the controversy. His inconceivable speech mandala points out that phenomena are primordially unborn and empty. It eliminates doubt and manifests for beings in accordance with their speech. So he has perfected his speech so that the teachings that he gave matches what the disciples need. Then his inconceivable mind mandala is luminosity, the clear light of the mind being clear like light, unchanging throughout past, present, and future. It is pure due to having completely abandoned the three kinds of obscurations. They are the afflictive obscurations, the obscurations of the habitual propensities, and karmic obscurations. These are the three types of obscurations. So he is free from all three. It manifests as unattached and unimpeded wisdom with regard to the past, present, and future. His inconceivable ocean of qualities and effortless activities of body, speech, and mind completely transcend the scope of the intellect. And so inconceivable, his qualities and activities. So these are sometimes called the 5 aspects, 5 dimensions of an awakened being is the exalted body, exalted form, exalted speech, exalted mind, exalted qualities and activities. These are the 5. To this Lord of Dharma, Jikten Sumgon, the glorious protector of beings, I bow down. His words show that all phenomena arise in dependence, are primordially free from all mental elaboration, and are non-dual, mind itself, and great luminosity. Flawlessly, with the 60 limbs of melodious speech and in accordance with the dispositions and mental capacities of those to be trained, these teachings eliminate ignorance, erroneous knowledge, and doubt. They open the lotus minds of the children of the victor, of the Buddha. In order to benefit myself and others, I will write down a fraction of these, my Lama's words of profound advice. So this part is a convention found in many of these texts, which is the author's expression of commitment to write the text, to compose this text. So Drakpa Jungne put this together based on those teachings that his guru gave. And then there's another section where, once again, there are praises of Jikten Sumgon's qualities. Jikten Sumgon is essentially all Buddhas of the three times. He realized all phenomena of samsara and nirvana as mind itself, primordially unborn emptiness, and completely awakened to unsurpassable, perfectly complete Buddhahood. He thus vanquished in its entirety the maras, which are self-clinging. So all maras, all demons are rooted in the demon of self-clinging, in which he has vanquished. Remaining constantly in meditative equipoise, he attained the great treasure of confident, unimpeded, and unattached eloquence on all spheres of phenomena throughout the three times. Thus, he excellently turned the wheel of Dharma, a savant who feared no opposition or question, perfectly endowed with the noble major and minor marks that stem from perfect abandonment and wisdom, that arose from perfect abandonment and wisdom. Perfect abandonment is talking about abandoning, relinquishing the afflictive emotions perfectly, completely. He delights the minds of sentient beings, and upon merely seeing him, their suffering and pain is eliminated. Upon merely hearing and thinking of him, beings attain the irreversible state. His inexhaustible wheel of ornaments of body, speech, and mind are consummate in the meditative absorption in which the two kinds of bodhicitta are inseparable. In the accumulation of merit and wisdom, in the grounds, in the perfections, and in the purity of aspiration. Effortlessly and unceasingly they manifest on the equal basis that are the Dharma Dhatu, the expanse of the sky, and the dispositions of beings, just like the moon's reflection in various vessels of water. They establish all beings in the state that is happiness, freedom from suffering, and unsurpassable awakening. In the state of the three times equality, they are effortlessly present. Having attained the body of the perfection of purity, self-happiness, and permanence, at all times they remain unchangeable and permanent. So the note here says, with regards to this, purity, self-happiness, and permanence, it says, this corresponds to verse 1, chapter 135 from the Uttara Tantra. The fruit is the perfection of the qualities of purity, self-happiness, and permanence. So, the locus classicus of these four is actually in the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana Sutra, in which the highest continuum, Uttara Tantra, is deriving this from. So these four things are the exact opposite of the usual, what we call unclean, not self, suffering, and impermanence. Right? These are said to be the characteristics of compounded phenomena, of confused phenomena, which is unclean, not self, suffering, and impermanence. But here it says it's purity, self-happiness, and permanence, meaning the opposite of those. So this is the introduction section to these 30 teachings. I think people have shared in there to say, where you can get this book. In the US, it's a little tricky because it's published in Germany and the distribution is a little more difficult. I think I seem to recall that there is an ebook version of this from the publishers. So if somebody can determine if there is or there isn't, And if there is, to provide a link. Even when you go to the link, it's not very easy to find that ebook option. They really, really, really want you to be really, really, really sure that you want this precious text. Otherwise, easy come, easy go. So it will take some effort to get a copy of this book. But don't give up so easily, you know. I want to just read the beginning of the next section. Just read at the beginning of the next section, the first teaching. It's such an amazing kind of opening to 30 days of teachings. We are going to take more than 30 days to cover this 30 teachings. I'm just saying that it's such an amazing opening to Jikten Sumgon's series of teachings that he gave for 30 days. So here it says, on the transmission lineage. And so the very first teaching he gave in this set of 30 teachings, he begins by talking about lineage. He begins by talking about transmission. Because this is such a hot topic, you know, such an important emphasis, especially in the context of Vajrayana. And there's all this talk about lineage, transmission, and on and on and on. You know? So, here, let me read this. Thus, the precious Lama Jikten Sumgon taught. The principle of the Dharma of all Tathagatas that appeared in the past, will appear in the future, and are now abiding in the reaches of the mirrored universes of the Dharma Dhatu, is the same. In what way is it the same? And so it says all Buddhists teach the same principle. So rhetorically, in what way is it the same? In general, it is the same with regard to the causality of the two kinds of bodhicitta. It says that principle can be summarized by bodhicitta in its two aspects. But what in particular is it that has been transmitted through the precious transmission lineage from the Exalted One, great Vajradhara, the primordial Buddha, down to the present time? So we often chant, you know, great Vajradhara, Dilipa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, right? And so on and so forth. And then all other Vajrayana traditions in Tibet, they all begin with Vajradhara or, you know, in a different name, Samantabhadra. But same, the primordial Buddha. So we always say, oh, the lineage came from the primordial Buddha. And the primordial Buddha is the Vajrayana name for Shakyamuni Buddha. So what came from there? What is it that is transmitted from great Vajradhara down to the present time? It isn't the path of methods, such as the inner heat of Tummo and so forth. The path of methods is not limited to Tummo. But Tummo is, in a way you could say, one of the most prized of all the methods within the path of methods. In fact, more generally, the path of methods include all the methods, just like the Achi Sang offering we did at the beginning of today. So here Jikten Sumgon says, it isn't the path of methods. Even something like the heat of Tummo and so forth, that is transmitted through this lineage. Well then, what is transmitted through this lineage? The two kinds of bodhicitta. Bodhicitta in its two aspects is the Dharma that is transmitted, and the reason why this is called a transmission. In order to understand what transmission means, we have to know what it is that is transmitted. For example, people who transport tea and salt or drive sheep and cattle are called tea traders, salt traders, and traders of butter, right? Like these examples, for the precious lineage too, we have to know what it is that is transmitted. And what is transmitted is bodhicitta in its two aspects. So we are, transporters, we are traders, not of tea, not of butter, not of this method or that method per se, not of, this practice, that practice. All those things is not that it doesn't happen, but all those are secondary. Secondary to the transmission of bodhicitta. Bodhicitta in its two aspects. This is what comes down from Vajradhara. Everything else, you could say, also came from Vajradhara, but in a less important way. So this statement here, has I think important implications that we will maybe discuss more starting tomorrow. So today we are going to end here, and we end with the bodhicitta aspiration, bodhicitta dedication. Changju sem choren poche ma ge ba nam ge gyuje ge ba